Welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Rich Latta here, back with another video. We're going to be looking at a video called Why Can't JuJu Move the Needle Like Caitlyn Clark? Just came across my timeline, thought it looked pretty interesting, thought I would react to it. And in this format, I'll listen to what they're saying, I'll pause, give my thoughts on it. So any comments in the comment section wondering why I may or may not pause so much or so little, that is why. Anyway, make sure you hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna check out what the Fumble's saying. They look like a pretty big platform, so let's see what we got here.
Hey, this could be an uncomfortable fumble of the week, but I'm going to try not to let it be.
Okay.
Last college women's basketball season, Samaria, Caitlyn Clark had the sport by the throat. Iowa women's basketball was must-see TV, and if they were in a town, it was packed out in that arena, okay? The fan investment into Caitlyn followed her to the WNBA, and viewership numbers for her games were sky high. Her mere presence alone helped several teams break attendance records, and in some instances, teams chose to actually move games to larger venues to accommodate the fanfare of Caitlyn coming to town.
Yeah, I'm in the Atlanta area, and I was not able to go when they came and played the Dream, and that was twice. And I believe they sold more tickets the second time. I think that they set the indoor record for a basketball game, a women's basketball game in Georgia or something. There's some kind of crazy record that happened, but hopefully next year I can get to a game. But it's 17,000 strong, easy in State Farm.
Coming into this season, the biggest name in women's college basketball is unquestionably JuJu Watkins. The star.
I don't know about that. She is definitely one of the two. When you talk about her or Paige Beckers, they both have, different deals with Nike and different various NIL opportunities. One's on the East Coast, one's on the West Coast. I think that's naturally going to give the East Coaster an advantage just due to population as well as the location of ESPN. So it is a little bit harder, I think, for a West Coast athlete to break through on a national, scale.
Star from USC is the front runner for Player of the Year, and her team is on a very short list of programs with a legitimate shot to win a title. JuJu's game is absolutely cold. Currently, she's averaging 20.
Yeah, her game is pretty cold. She plays in a way that I think a lot of fans of the NBA would enjoy. She is a completely different kind of style than Caitlyn Clark, though, who she is being compared to in this video. When I look at JuJu Watkins, I kind of see a combo of two people, maybe three. I see like a little bit of Carmelo Anthony, I see a little bit of Paul George, and I see a little bit of Joe Johnson, who had the name ISO Joe. She's going to be someone that's going to draw a bunch of fouls, and she's a little bit of a ball stopper. And I think, the next evolution of her game is going to be her playmaking ability. And I think it hasn't captured yet just because everything looks so easy for her. It looks like she is just bouncing off the defenders. She's got, a great frame to her. Like she can, knock opponents off of her. Essentially, like if she gets by you, she has you on the hip, she can move you out the way, essentially.
21, 7, and 5. And I mean, no intent to sexualize her at all when I say this, but she is also drop dead gorgeous. But
I don't know why he needed to bring that up, but that was this gentleman's decision, not mine.
None of that has translated into the kind of excitement and fan investment that Caitlyn had just a season ago. So listen up.
Besides her being conventionally attractive, one would say, I think that would be the phrase my guy was looking for. It needs to be more than that. Like it's not as easy to be once in a lifetime. Just if you lay out the attributes on paper, I think this is what a lot of Caitlyn Clark fans were trying to express of why she was so special, because there's something about her. When a superstar comes along, there's something you can't explain. You can lay it all out on paper, and then it's like, oh, but we didn't account for that. whether it's her personality, whether it's her playing style, whether it is how she competes, whether it is, just the individual things that she does skill wise that people may like, the logo threes, the passing, the dribbling, her story, as far as like, what team she's been on, the underdog nature of her, looking at the teams that she played against. So there's a lot of reasons that Caitlyn has going for her that I don't know if JuJu has had a chance to develop yet, and maybe those expectations aren't exactly fair for her this early in the game. And I know she had a great freshman season. I want to say she had the most 30-point games for someone in USC history. She scored 51 points against Stanford. But one thing that really stood out, how Caitlyn, was getting the job done, she was going insane in the tournament and making deep runs into the tournament. They lost in the Elite Eight last year, and there was a lot of turnover on the team, and they came into, the season this year as the number 2 ranked team, and JuJu is playing with somebody that might be the second overall pick in the draft. Caitlyn was not. And it was like, it was almost like a David versus Goliath scenario there.
In a Trojan home game in JuJu's hometown of LA, a city with 4 million people, in an arena with 10,000 capacity, only 3,000 people showed up.
Wow, that is something. Well, let's take a look at what's going on in LA right now. So LA has, they're in the post World Series with the Dodgers, or got the Lakers going right now. You would like to see more support there, but it was similar to, the beginning of the season, that USC Ole Miss game. They just kind of assumed, JuJu was a lot further along as a draw than she actually may be. They brought her over to Paris, and that gym was empty. And it was like, I think it was the first real sign for women's college basketball this year that it's not so easy just to keep things rolling, because Caitlyn Clark is kind of a once in a lifetime phenomenon, and you don't just snap your fingers and just keep it rolling. You try to hold on for dear life as much as possible, and I don't know how they just expected that to work.
It was preseason games last year had more fans than that. Now, granted, I recognize that it is very early in the season, and their last 2 opponents were mid-majors, but it doesn't feel like the world and mainstream media has embraced her quite like it did Caitlyn. And so my fumble of the week is going to JuJu Watkins fans who only support her online via tweets.
Ooh, heavy accusation. Support online only on tweets. I did a couple videos looking at JuJu Watkins, like previewing her going into the season, as well as the opener against Ole Miss. And let's just say, I can see what he's saying. It's one thing to be really loud on Twitter, or, loud on Blue Sky, or, whatever your platform of choice is. But some of this stuff has to start kind of blending in with the reality. And, she's got a lot of like good looks to enhance her profile. Like, of course, she's with Nike, Gatorade. She's done podcasts with people. She's been very, kind of transparent about showing like her, story on, her documentary. I believe that's on Peacock, if I'm not mistaken. So I think there is a marketing disconnect there still, though, because I don't even really know if I could tell you what JuJu Watkins' voice sounds like. And I'm someone that's kind of plugged into the game. So, like, when I think about it, it's like, all right, what is her kind of personality? Is she kind of like a, oh gosh, G Willikers kind of person? Is she someone that's kind of a silent assassin? Does she have a loud, boisterous personality that's just snuck by me? I don't know. So there's something going on here.
Maria, my question for you is, why does it feel like JuJu isn't moving the needle the same way that Caitlyn did and does?
Okay. Ooh, that's tough. I'm hearing this for the first time, guys. I think, for one, you got to remember that Caitlyn Iowa went pretty far both years that she had this stardom. So obviously she lost to LSU in the championship game, and then she came back the next year and it was just crazy. She also had an antagonist, right?
Okay.
In Angel Reese when she was playing. And so I think that allowed.
I think that definitely helped, but she had her own motion as well, because we saw the other games against South Carolina that did crazy ratings. We saw the games that, she played against UConn that went crazy. People were just tuning in to watch her break record after record throughout her senior year. So while Angel Reese and her rivalry, that definitely was a huge thing, Caitlyn had other things as well. So, like, I think to the young lady's point, I don't even think JuJu has a primary rival, really. So I think we got to get that first and then start locking into all the accomplishments and then the special thing that we can account for.
Unfortunately, and I hate that allowed a lot of people to want to root for her. And so I don't think that JuJu has that storyline. So maybe she can. I don't think that JuJu root for her. Unfortunately, and I hate that allowed a lot of people. And so I think that allowed, unfortunately, and I hate that allowed a lot of people to want to root for her. And so I don't think that JuJu has that storyline. So maybe she can get it. I don't know. Like maybe, race plays a factor in it too. I hate to go there, but I think that she just doesn't have that same storyline. Like everything lined up perfectly for Caitlyn to be this all-American superstar.
Well, when it says everything lined up for her, I think that's one way you can say it, but I think saying it like that does not acknowledge that she did this at Iowa. She did not do this at a traditional blue blood powerhouse. So that alone would think that she's not like just tailor-made for the success. A lot of this stuff like came down to her ability and situation and circumstance, but you cannot leave out the ability part, especially looking at the history of Iowa basketball and then looking at the teammates that she was playing with. She was not playing with 4 and 5-star players left and right like someone on UConn. She was not playing with this transfer and that transfer and this NIL person and all this like LSU. That wasn't the case for her. So let's keep it going.
For one, she's always on SportsCenter because she's made some crazy shot. And for two, she lost in the championship game. Like I just mentioned, everybody remembers Angel, talking about the ring. And that is a
thing that I think both players kind of like talked about. It's part of the game. We know the deal with Caitlyn, that was a thing with her strength coach. And then Angel came on with, the ring taunt and all that. And then people did, go crazy on it. So I think to deny that this thing didn't kind of jump off between these two, at least from there, and spark a little boom would be dishonest. But I think, let's keep it going.
Perfect storyline for people to eat it up. You're going to be on one side or the other. And I also think that just her fans rose to the occasion and they came out of the woodwork. So I do agree that JuJu's fans should get Fumble of the Week because they need to stand up too. But I think nationally, maybe that's the reason why she's not getting.
What is there really to stand up for so far, though, for JuJu Watkins fans? I think you can just like her and, you watch the games, but you're not really fighting for anything, I don't think, if you're cheering for JuJu Watkins, because she's largely she's kind of like Caitlyn Clark in a sense. Like Caitlyn Clark isn't a boisterous personality, but she has something special that you can't account for. I don't know if JuJu Watkins has that or if that is something that can be quote unquote developed. But I think that when people get behind people and look to root them on and say, yo, this is my person, I'm riding or dying with them, there has to be some kind of inciting incident. And it hasn't happened for JuJu Watkins yet. So I don't know exactly why the expectation for her is this. maybe because of, you know, in the age of NIL, like this is the person they've already started handing big money to and anointing, like, yo, you're going to be a star. And she's proven it, you know, like she's proven her skill on court. Nothing to take away from that at all. But star power is not about how you play the game in a sense. Like that's part of it, but there's something else. And I think so many people miss that.
She doesn't have the level of stardom like Caitlyn Clark did.
Nationally, I can understand it. You know, I wouldn't expect her to show up in Wisconsin and, you know, for the fanfare to be what it was for Caitlyn in Wisconsin. But in her city, in LA, I would expect more of a raucous turnout for her games, regardless of who she is playing against. And this is kind of why I always say, like, social media is not a real indicator of the real world, because it's a terrible barometer to measure how someone is actually impacting things, right? Because if you go online, you'll see fanfare and you'll see all of these things, but if it does not translate to actual butts and seats, if it does not actually translate to physical sales, then it's a farce. And
he has a solid point there. You see online movements not match up to, you know, what it is in real life all the time. And I'm sure they have an example coming. You know, you can just look at how, you know, our online, you know, the way we converse, like, you know, you see my video right here and you see some suggestions on the side. This is a tiny version of an echo chamber. You're not going to get every single like opinion recommended to you. You may get some that are similar to mine. You may see more of my videos, but you're not going to see everything that's out there. And I think, you know, the longer that social media has been around and you know, X this on every platform, like, you know, 10X it, like you dig yourself deeper into your interests and your likes until it surrounds you completely and you can't, or you have trouble seeing over that horizon or outside of that ecosystem.
Sometimes in our community, we get so caught up in the bubble of what we see by our very curated algorithms that we think that what we are doing is of the utmost importance and is of the thing that the masses are aligned with. It's how the election last week was just decided, right? Like nobody, by and large, in our community foresaw the election going quite that way. But
I disagree, but let's keep it going.
But because we were in this curated bubble, we had no understanding of the true impact and effect of what Donald Trump had on the rest of this country. And so a lot of the conversation around Caitlyn last year was...
Again, I disagree, but yeah, let's keep it going.
That, you know, she's not the only one. There's other people, and JuJu's going to be able to drive the same kind of... And it doesn't...
That's been a big thing. Like, it's not just Caitlyn Clark. This was like a lot of the problems, like when she was in the WNBA. Like, it's not just her; there are other players. And then, as my man mentioned, you know, there are other players. Like, this was the big, like the pushback, right? And it's like, all right, show us. Here's the chance. You know, if there are other players, the other players will produce in a similar fashion. And as of right now, that is not happening. So either you can acknowledge big Caitlyn Clark and start, you know, realizing that these expectations are unfair for other people, or people are just going to keep getting set up. JuJu Watkins is going to get set up for failure. Hannah Hidalgo is going to get set up for failure. Paige Becker is going to get set up for failure. And it's going to be the people boosting them up. It's going to be their fault.
It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen like that. And whiteness is so overwhelming. There's so many more white people in this country. And when they take an investment into somebody, they actually show up. And unfortunately, sometimes in our community, we do lip service and we do Twitter finger service, but we don't actually show up in a real meaningful way, in a way that is tangible, that creates tangible results for the person that we say that we love so much.
He said a mouthful there. No doubt. Caitlyn Clark has a lot of white fans. Let's just keep it a stack. We keeping it real today, right? But you know what else she has? She has black fans too. She's got fans around the globe. She's got fans as far as the eye can see. Every coast. Like, they pull up to Atlanta, she's selling out. They pull up to Washington, D.C., she's selling out. These are two of the blackest places in America. And you can look at, you know, the games and who's showing up to these games. And she brings the crowd with her. And you can look around at a lot of different creators on YouTube. I see a lot of black men with podcasts or that make videos that are talking about Caitlyn Clark and recognizing her game and appreciating her game. So like, it is not fair to necessarily, blame. It's not exactly fair to blame her popularity on just white people like her. No, more people than that like her. So, slight disagree there.
Listen, I'm a fan. I love JuJu. I see her sometimes around LA. I think she's spectacular. I think from a basketball standpoint, she's brilliant. She had a historical season last year. She'll probably have another one this year. Her team is phenomenal. They have some great transfers and some freshmen that are coming in. And I hope that she has all the success in the world. But there is something to be said about the fact that we are not showing up the way that we be saying online that we are. And that's all I gotta say. That's why the fans get the fumble of the week. You all let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Is there something to be said about the way that black fans are showing up or not showing up for JuJu rather, which is very different than the way white fans did for Caitlyn? Let us know your thoughts about this in the comment section. I am really interested to hear your.
So again, I think he's very married to the concept of all black people should be supporting JuJu Watkins or all white people are supporting Caitlyn Clark, when the truth is probably like a little bit more in the middle, or it's completely different. And, these players are largely being supported by, the same kind of demographics. It's just those demographics are just stacked on top of each other for the more popular player. I think that this has been a central issue in, the Caitlyn Clark phenomenon that people have not wanted to talk about openly, and with people, with different kind of people. And, I see, the comment section, I see, a lot of people that I don't know would normally, come across my stuff. Just, I see the demographics and I see who engages with these videos in the comment section. And, there's all kinds of people that, I see in the comment section that, are Indiana Fever fans that are following, what Caitlyn Clark does. And, they're even watching the golf and all that. I'm not going to watch the golf with y'all. I'm sorry. I'm just not like but, I think that this is something that JuJu Watkins does not need to worry about. She does not need to obsess about why am I not, moving the numbers the same way? Like that. Why is my arena? Like, I wouldn't think about that at all if I was her, because you don't pick to become a phenomenon. A phenomenon becomes you. And I think if she just stays committed to the game, and she's a very hard worker, and she is someone that she competes on both ends of the floor, I think there's a lot to like about her game. I think that she will be just fine. She will end up, in the place that she's going to end up ultimately, but expecting her to be Caitlyn Clark, setting her up for failure. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this reaction and breakdown. Shout out to the Fumble for making the video. Check out their channel and all that. So I'm gonna go ahead and subscribe, and it looks like they got some good stuff. And I'll holler at y'all next time. Let me know what you think in the comment section about why can't JuJu like get it rolling a little bit more. Let's start there. Let's throw away why can't she move the needle like Caitlyn Clark, because I think we kind of understand. Let's talk about something else. So anyway, I'm Rich. Peace.